This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Fuel demand in India rose in July to its highest since April as pandemic restrictions and lockdowns were unwound in most states, boosting industrial activity and mobility. Fuel consumption, a proxy for oil demand, totaled 16.83 million tons, up 2.9% from June and 7.9% from the same period a year ago. Data on the website of the Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell, PPAC, showed on Monday. Consumption had slumped in May to its lowest since August when a deadly second wave of COVID-19 prompted lockdowns in most Indian states. But most restrictions were eased in June and further in July, driving a recovery in demand.
China has cut export quotas for refined fuels by 73% year-on-year for the second batch of quotas issued for 2021, as new taxes on imports of key blending fuels are set to boost sales of domestically refined fuels. Released months behind schedule, the quotas totaled 7.5 million tons, and were issued to 6 state-run companies and a private refiner, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. That compares with 28 million tons in the second batch last year and brings total issues for 2021 to 35.5 million tons, 40% lower than 2020.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
U.S. crude oil production is expected to fall by 160,000 barrels per day, BPD, in 2021 to 11.12 million barrels of oil per day, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, said in a monthly report on Tuesday, a smaller decline than its previous forecast for a drop of 210,000 barrels of oil per day. Oil prices have rebounded from the historic lows seen last year, prompting some U.S. producers to boost drilling activity. The total U.S. rig count has more than doubled since falling to a record low in August last year. The EIA said it expects production to be relatively flat through October before beginning to rise in November and December and throughout 2022.
India plans to force refineries and fertiliser plants to use some green hydrogen, Junior Oil Minister Rameswar Telly said on Monday, as Asia's third-largest economy strives to reduce carbon emissions. Governments and energy companies around the world are betting on clean hydrogen playing a leading role in efforts to lower greenhouse gas emissions, though its future uses and costs remain uncertain. India's draft hydrogen policy will mandate a gradual increase in the use of green hydrogen instead of fossil fuels in refineries and fertilizer plants, Telly told lawmakers in a written reply to questions.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Chilean miners expect copper prices to stay high for 2 to 3 years but remain wary of labeling the boom a supercycle like what happened a decade ago, a senior executive said on Tuesday. The price of copper soared to record highs this year on expectations of global economic recovery and fast rising demand after a year of stagnation amid the coronavirus pandemic. But analysts and market watchers have debated how long the boom will last. Diego Hernández, president of the National Society of Mining, SONAMI, an umbrella group for Chile's top miners, said the electric vehicle revolution and booming renewable energy industry would prop up demand and prices in the medium term.
Gold fell on Tuesday, as a rallying dollar and yields driven by bets the Federal Reserve could cut back on its economic support continue to weigh on the precious metal after the previous session's sell-off. Spot gold was down 0.4% at $1,722.83 per ounce by 9:52 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, while U.S. gold futures edged 0.2% lower to $1,723.10. The precious metal slid as much as 4.4% on Monday, as expectations the Fed could begin tempering its economic support sooner than previously anticipated were solidified by a strong U.S. jobs report on Friday. A U.S. interest rate increase could reduce the appeal of holding non-yielding gold. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Sugar prices hit their highest level in more than 4 years on Tuesday after a report confirmed damage to sugarcane crops in the world's larger producer Brazil from unusually harsh frosts in June and July. Sugar production in Brazil's Center-South region fell by 11% in the second half of July to 3 million tons, industry group Única said, more than expected. Única added that the 3 waves of frosts that hit the agricultural areas had further damaged crops already hurt by the worst drought in 90 years. Market participants were already expecting lower numbers for the second half of July due to the frosts, but the Única figures were below estimates. Sugar futures on New York's ICE exchange rose nearly 7% on Tuesday in response.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.